A supermarket for your pet. Pisces Pet Emporium.
Hey, I'm Jordan here at Pisces Pet Emporium, and today I'm here to talk to you about a very extraordinary reptile, the Veiled Chameleon. So of course there are several types of chameleons out there. The chameleon I'm talking about in depth today is the Veiled Chameleon. The Veiled Chameleon are native to Yemen and southern Saudi Arabia. They are found in a variety of habitats, dry mountain places or river valleys. They are an arboreal reptile, meaning that they spend all their lives generally in the trees and shrubs. So they're quite capable of living a happy life up in the trees. They have clamp-like hands which help them move along the branches. They actually see two different images. Their eyes process two different images. They move in 180 degrees, meaning that even though he's staying in one spot, he's quite capable at looking all over the place to see if there's predators or prey. Now, the chameleon, obviously in a home, is a lot different care than it would be in the wild. Now, chameleons, they actually don't understand glass, so what we recommend here at Pisces is to use a mesh cage. A mesh cage will keep the chameleon free from stress as he lives throughout his entire life. Females generally live about 5 years, males living 8 years, so they are a short-living reptile, but they're so much fun to have. So this here is a juvenile female veiled chameleon. They're very, very easy to sex. Males will develop a spur-like extra toe digit on the back of their feet. The veiled chameleon is very easy to distinguish with this helmet-like ridge on top of their head. Now the veiled chameleons, they don't have as wide range of color changing varieties as some other species, but you know, chameleons, they don't just change for their environment, they change colors based on their emotional state, so based on their mood. So if they're angry or frustrated, excited, you'll see them turn into a darker color. If they're unhappy, generally they'll be nice and bright when they're nice and happy. So if they are at rest, you will see them try and blend in with their environment, but it's not too common that, you know, if you put them in front of something brown, they'll just turn brown just like that. So as you can see here, this chameleon is actually quite happy and cruising around. So this chameleon doesn't mind being handled. You don't want to handle your chameleon too much because that can be really stressful on the poor guy. Keep in mind that any reptile you do purchase, you want to leave in their tank or terrarium or mesh cage for at least a week before you start handling them. That way they get used to their surroundings. Now I'm going to go into depth about the care of the veiled chameleon for you at home. So without the proper requirements for the chameleon, they can actually be quite stress prone. So for a chameleon about this size, he's about a juvenile, I would do a medium mesh terrarium. Now you don't want to put a little guy in a huge mesh terrarium because that can stress them out. You want to monitor the defecation, you want to monitor if it's eating, and you want to make sure that it's drinking water. Now, a lot of things you can incorporate into your mesh terrarium is live plants. These guys are naturally arboreal, meaning that they climb all over trees and plants. So load it up with either artificial or real plants as well as vines. So your female chameleons will stay a little bit smaller than the males. They'll get 10 to 14 inches long, males reaching 17 to 24 inches long. Females will have more of a bigger body, but the chameleon naturally looks a little thin to the eye. Now, some things you need to keep in mind: they are diurnal, meaning that they are awake during the day. You will need two different types of lights. You'll need your basking light and your UVB. The UVB helps them metabolize the calcium or vitamins into their bones, and the basking light helps them keep their bodies warm. So you want to invest in a 5.0 UVB as well as a basking light. So I have a couple different options here. Now it's dependent on you, right? So here I have a solar glow. The solar glow actually has UVB, UVA, and the basking combined into one. So personally, it is up to you for what you want to use for, you know, heating or lighting source. You just got to keep in mind that you have both in there. Now, you want a basking temperature about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, dropping nowhere below 24 as your ambient temperature. So let's say that your temperature dropped at nighttime below 70 degrees. That's when I'd invest in an infrared light. The infrared light is seen through the reptile as a heat source, not as a light source. So it's very important to keep your temperatures because, you know, we are dealing with a cold-blooded species. Another thing to keep in mind is that they do like humidity. There are several ways to keep your humidity. One way to keep your humidity is to have proper humidity holding substrate. There's moss, there's plantation soil, there's cocoa husk. You can use a conjunction of all three, or you can, you know, use one or the other. Another thing to keep in mind is you need a dripper system for the chameleon. They don't see stagnant, still moving, or still water. They need to see the water moving in order for them to drink it. So you can invest in a dripper system or a dripper plant to make sure that they are getting the proper hydration. A lot of people incorporate little waterfalls in their tanks or terrarium, sorry. So it's totally up to you. Just make sure that you do have a dripper system in there. So the veiled chameleon is an insectivore, meaning that they eat a variety of insects. An insect commonly found in pet stores here today are the crickets. Now, crickets don't have every nutritional factor to them, so you want to make sure you're supplementing with calcium. Now, because they are diurnal, make sure you get calcium without vitamin D3. Other options as far as waxworms, mealworms, butterworms. Now, those can be high in fat, so you kind of want to give them a variety diet. Variety is important in any animal's, diet. So try and spice it up for them. Don't just stick to one or the other. They do need to eat live. It's very hard for them to, try and eat freeze-dried because they only see really moving objects. And why would you want to take something away from their natural habitat? So try and keep it with the live. Now, their tongues are actually very cool. Their tongues stretch or shoot out 1.5 times their body length. So they're quite known for having long, sticky tongues, and it's quite enjoyable to watch them eat crickets. So the chameleon is a solitary animal, meaning you don't want to put another chameleon in there, especially two males together. Males and females can mainly handle each other during breeding, but that's a whole nother topic. One thing I forgot to mention is that if you do have a female, they will produce infertile eggs, generally when they reach sexual maturity. So if you are using like a newspaper on the bottom of your terrarium, try to incorporate a lay box just in case she does decide to lay. You don't want her to become impacted with those eggs. That's called egg bounding, and that can actually be a very painful and life-threatening process that the chameleon will go through if not properly given a lay box. I can't always talk about everything in my videos, so please read up on any of the reptile you do purchase. There's lots of information to get on chameleons. So I hope you enjoyed my video here, and I hope to see you here at Pisces Pet Emporium.